Hey everyone, hi and welcome. I think I'm live. I think we're good to go. Awesome. For those of you tuning in live, you might have noticed we started a few minutes late. Apologies, we're having some tech fun loopholes to get through. For this class today, you can see my setup here. I'm just checking to make sure you can see and hear me all right. It looks like everything's good to go. You've got a blanket or a towel, something to sit on. I've got 2 blocks and a strap here and my water bottle. And of course, a body would be really helpful, and just a couple of minutes to take a moment to sit, relax, and check in and tune in. So I'm gonna sit down right here on my blanket and just check in with myself for a moment. Man, this is like the 3rd class in a row where I've had a lot of tech challenges right before, and it's amazing how much something, when you're in a time crunch, can really like affect the energy, that your energy, right, brain space and all of that. And it's so helpful to have tools, and this is why I do what I do, and I'm so grateful to be here, and I'm glad that I get to show up this way, a little bit scattered and a little bit thrown off, because challenges are just part of life, right? And we're all going to face them. And so it's important to know that being in the moment, and no matter how often you practice, like there's still going to be things that throw you. And so having these tools can be really, really helpful. So with that, this class today is about balancing, right? So bringing yourself, your body, your mind, your breath into balance. And so we're going to do a lot of left and right. So we're going to do a lot of, kind of cross-body movements, and we're going to really work with the breath and the mind to get everything lined up and balanced. So, and you can tell I could really use this class right now. So when you're ready, take a moment to find your seat. You're going to find a comfortable position with your seat on the mat or on a blanket. And then you can bring your hands right in underneath your seat and just kind of move some flesh out of the way so that you have a comfortable bit of contact with the mat and with the earth. Once you're here, let's bring shoulders up to ears. Nice big breath in. And roll your shoulders down your back. Inhale up. And exhale back. One more inhale up. And exhale back. And then just allow your shoulders, as you can, to slowly slide down your back. You can pick up your hands and kind of drop them onto your knees and onto your thighs, and allow your hands to rest there, wherever they land. And then just take a moment to notice your seat connected to the earth. Right, there's so much power in just being present without making big, significant movements and making anything fancy, right? Just being in this moment right here and right now. Right here. Yeah, and right now. And so when you're ready, if you'd like, you can squeeze your navel towards your spine. Yeah, and that'll just give you a little bit more stability in the core. We're not trying to engage the core, just give a little bit of stability and support there so that you can sit up nice and tall, and you know that your spine is protected, tailbone to crown of head. And with that, let's just start to notice the breath. Tuning into how you're arriving today, and allowing yourself to be, right, just as you are. Without trying to change it, to modify or judge. Just allowing the breath and the body to arrive as they are, perfectly imperfect, present in this moment. And now let's start to bring the breath into the ribs. looking for a nice even breath. So about the same amount of time inhaling as you exhale. For instance, if you're breathing in for a count of 3, you'll breathe out for a count of 3. If you choose to extend the inhale to a 4, and just make sure to extend the exhale to 4. And bringing that even tempo. In and out. As you arrive. Let's start to open up the head and neck as we start to move into practice today. Sitting up nice and tall, see if you can lift up through the crown of your head a bit more. And then when you're ready, and as you'd like, you can turn your head over to one side. As soon as you start to feel some resistance, pause, and then change directions, turn to the other side. We're going to move nice and slow for just a couple of exchanges so that we can feel into, right, where are those spots that are a little tight, a little stuck? Right, where's the place in which rotation stops and maybe runs into a bit of resistance? And as soon as you find that place, like you could go farther, but you'd have to push, pause right there. You can flicker your eyes open and notice your eyes might start to track farther back, but what I want you to do is just notice on the wall. Find a point on the wall, straight ahead, right? Not tracking over to the side, straight ahead, where your head has landed. And then let's turn in the other direction. Same thing. And notice if your eyes are starting to track farther back, bring them back. Find that point on the wall where you're comfortably turning your head and, without any force. And then let's bring opposite hand to opposite cheek wherever you are. And you can close your eyes again, and sitting up nice and tall, let's just press head into hand and hand into head. And breathe into this moment. A little bit of a press. Also sliding the shoulders away from the ears. And then when you're ready, you can release your hand and slowly turn from one side and then back again to the other. And then back again to the other side, and let's find our point to stare at. Bring hand to cheek, and then start to just breathe into your opposite hand and opposite cheek, and pressing together as you reach up through the crown of your head, as your shoulders slide down your back. And breathe here. Let's offer one more breath here, sitting up nice and tall. And then slowly release. And you can turn head from one direction to the other. And you might notice, right, a lighter feeling in your head and in your neck. Let's bring one hand onto the ground, and you can kind of crawl it away from your seat. And then opposite hand will reach up to the sky. Notice where your palm is facing. You want it to turn towards the opposite direction. And as you do that, you'll notice a little drop in the shoulder as the upper arm bone, right, slides into place. And if you'd like, you can dip over a bit more to that opposite side. And just offer yourself a stretch into the ribs. And we'll give ourselves just 2 breaths here. And then when you're ready, let's slowly come back up to center. Bring that hand down onto the ground. Opposite hand reaches up to the sky. Start to walk your fingers farther away. And then if you'd like, a slight dip across the body over to the other side as you expand and extend. Breathing in and out. Let's come back up to center. Now that we've arranged our head, neck, shoulders, and a little bit into the side ribs, we're going to come down onto hands and knees and start to work through the core and then the lower body. So if you have your blanket, you can bring it underneath your knees here and find your way onto your tabletop shape. Hands press into the ground, hips right over your knees, hands right underneath your shoulders. And if you want, you can pick up and drop down your hands so that you're connected with the earth. A little spin of your inner elbows forward so that they're facing your fingertips if you can. And then I'll just help your upper arm bones. Again, slide into your shoulders nice and, with good contact and arrangement. And so let's start to engage through the shoulders by pressing into the hands. And start to squeeze the belly into the spine. There we go, flattening out that lower back. And give ourselves just 3 breaths here. Perfect. Now it's probably helpful to follow rights and lefts here just because it can get a little complicated. So stretch your right leg back. You can take a moment to double check yourself. Sometimes if you're watching me, right, rather than watching yourself, you might pick the wrong one. So just notice where's your right hand and then find your right foot and then extend that foot back. Yeah. And so keeping your hands nice and strong and your shoulders nice and strong. If you want, you could reach your right leg up off the ground or keep the toes on the earth. Totally up to you. I'm just going to give it, 3 breaths or so here. And now if you haven't picked up your right leg yet, you're going to pick it up now. We're going to reach it nice and long. And then on your exhale, you can draw your knee to your nose, curling your back, rounding through your upper back and your shoulders as your head drops to the ground, knee to nose. And then inhale, extend that leg back. And let's do that twice more. Exhale, squeezing knee to nose. Inhale to lengthen, lengthen. And exhale to squeeze, knee to nose. Awesome. Let's drop back down to hands and knees. And this time we'll come into a cat and a cow. Or a cow, right? Dropping the belly, breathing in. And then exhale, rounding to a cat. And then we'll come to the other side. So hands on the ground. left toes reach, and if you want, you can keep them on the ground or you can lift them up. Make sure to keep your belly nice and strong here, working those core muscles, engaging it all. Yeah. On an inhale, lengthen nice and long. On an exhale, curl knee to nose and nose to knee. And then inhale, lengthen. And exhale, curl again. Let's do one more inhale to lengthen. Exhale to curl again. And then come back to hands and knees. Inhale to your cow, opening up the heart space. And exhale, rounding to your cat. Perfect. So now let's come down onto, actually, stay with me here. We're going to do one more thing. You're going to move your blanket out of the way. And this is, and come to the far end of your mat, so like the back of your mat, so that your toes may be slightly off the mat, but your hands are on the mat, and you've got a long distance between your hands and the front of the mat. We're going to do a little bit of a play on opposites. And so this is, again, where the rights and the lefts matter. Your choice, okay? You're going to bring your knees a little bit closer together towards the center. That'll help you with this shape. And when you're ready, you're going to bring your right knee forward, just like we did knee to nose. And then this time, we're going to cross your lower leg so that your right knee is now in front of your left knee. Walk your hands forward. And then pick up your left knee, sweep it around, and thread the left knee over the right. And now we're going to do it again. Right knee comes forward, crawl hands forward, left knee comes forward, crawl your hands, right knee comes forward, right? You choose your pace. We're going to come all the way forward. And then once we've got hands off the mat, then we reverse. So backwards, the front knee sweeps back. And we work this here, slowly walking our way back, one knee's length at a time, working the rights and lefts, coming to the back of the mat. Awesome. And then we're going to crawl our way forward, only about halfway. So same thing, threading the back knee forward, and then once you're here, we're going to keep the right knee in front of the left. It actually doesn't matter, but my right knee is in front of my left, and we're just going to sit back. As we sit back, if you can, reach for your blanket, give it a quick scoot underneath your seat, and we should land in shoelace pose. I'm going to turn so that you can see me, which is a little hard to do because your body might be a little pretzel-y, but hey. If you find that your seat feels a little low, you can make your blanket a little bit higher. So I've got right knee forward here, just like we did when we started, and you can see, it's probably a little hard to see because my pants are hard. So this is my top knee, and there's my bottom knee, right? And my feet are out nice and wide. If you can kind of engage your feet as if they're standing on something, and then either just place your hands so nicely on your lap, or you can bring your hands down towards your feet, or if you'd like, you could add eagle arms. Let me give you eagle arms. If your right knee is on top, your right arm will come underneath, and your left arm will be over, and you can just cross your hands to your opposite shoulders. Yeah, I can tell that's hard to see without very much contrast, but hopefully you've got it. And so here we're balancing our rights and lefts, and we're just going to give ourselves 3 breaths here. Give yourself a nice squeeze, hug, hands to shoulders. Breathe into your ribs. Nice even breaths. And then when you're ready, we'll uncross the arms. Bring hands back behind us. You can uncross the legs. And then if you want, you can just windshield wiper your knees side to side. Whew. Maybe you'll get some pops and crackles like I just did. And then when you're ready, other side. So if you are in your original position, you could come back to hands and knees and then just thread that back knee forward. Or if you're like me and you've moved a bit, you just kind of sit back and then sit forward again. Ooh. And make sure that your left knee is on top the second time. Scoot those legs back. Whew. Sometimes it can be a little bit harder to find the second side without getting all twisted up. And that's totally normal and totally okay. I can tell that on this side, my hips are a lot tighter. So my movement, right, my spaciousness between my feet, that alignment is a little bit off, and that's okay. It's just part of it. So again, maybe on this side, if you're feeling less steady like me, then you might just want to put your hands on your knees so that you feel a little bit more stable, or your hands towards your feet so that you're staying nice and stable and supported. But if you'd like to add your arms, then you could, right, bring this time left arm under, right arm over, and hug and squeeze your hands onto your shoulders. And if you chose the arms, I really encourage you to give yourself like a real genuine, man, I haven't seen you in so long and I really like you hug. You know, like the kind of hug that you give someone that you really, really care about, that you haven't seen in a long time. Or like the kind of hug that you give when you're like 4 or 5 or something and you like see your grandparents and you're just like, oh, big squeeze hugs. Right? If you come from a hugging family. I didn't, by the way. So I had to learn to hug. It's its own thing. All right, let's give ourselves one more breath here. And then unwind and let it go. Let me just check ourselves. All right. So now we can unwind the legs. Whew, and you can windshield wiper your knees side to side. And we're going to do one more movement before we come to rest. And this one's going to be standing. So you can move your blanket off to the side. Let's come on up to standing. Stand up nice and tall. And we are going to, how are we going to do this? All right. So a couple different ways that you can start this. Number one, you can have your hands behind your head and thread your fingers behind your head. Press your elbows out nice and wide. We are going to lift up opposite knee and opposite knee. So if you want, you can have your hands on your hips. Now, let's lift one knee up. And if you have hands behind the head, then you could bring opposite elbow to opposite knee. So that looks like this. Woo! And then come back down. Hands on hips is going to be easier. Opposite knee lifts, and this time you can just lift it up and stay here, right? So I'll stay on our modified version, right, our lower version, right, just picking up one knee, dropping it down, picking it up, and dropping it down, okay? Now, if you want to add and come into more of a balance, then that's going to look like bringing your hands behind your head and giving yourself kind of like a standing crunch. And we're only going to do a few of these. Another version, if you want, is to just keep your hands lifted and cross the body, okay? Doesn't matter what you choose. We're just looking to move across the body and do opposites, right? So find the opposite side. There we go. All right, let's do just a couple more. Get ourselves nice and ready for rest. All right, last side, and then shake it all out. Shake out your legs, shake out your hands. I don't know about you, but I feel fully complete with all of my movement today. So let's come on down to the mat. Now, particularly when it comes to bringing balance to the body and the mind and the nervous system, there are a lot of techniques that we can use to really just allow everything to relax and come into that balance, right? There are even breaths, right? Like we've been practicing, but there's also your mindset, right? So making sure that your thoughts are kind of falling and sinking in line with your breath. So that could look like counting for 1, 2, 3 as you breathe in, and 3, 2, 1 as you breathe out. Okay, that's one technique. But another one is to really allow the body to be relaxed so that those things can take place without the mind starting to think about, oh, I'm not very comfortable, or kind of fidgeting a bit. So take some time here as you land on the ground to make yourself maybe a nice pillow for your head, so that as you rest and lay down on the ground, your arms and legs can be nice and long, right? And you want your feet and hands to be relaxed and resting on the ground. You can try walking your shoulder blades a little closer together. You can drop your chin down towards your chest. Yes. And then we're going to work with the breath here. And as I said before, we'll try to bring the breath nice and even. And if you notice your mind wandering, right, just try to bring your attention, your thoughts, to observing and noticing the breath. And we're going to use a visualization to bring ourselves into balance. And that'll start by imagining that you can breathe in and out through your feet, like they're big extensions of your nostrils. So we'll start by imagining that you can breathe in through your right foot. And so you'll imagine that breath coming in through your right foot and all the way up your right leg, up past your right hip and your right ribs, past your right shoulder, all the way up to your the right side of your brain, and at the very top of your head, maybe meeting at the very top of your head or at that space in between your eyebrows. And then as you exhale, the breath will come out the other side. So it'll go down the left nostril, down the left shoulder, down the left ribs, the left hip, the left leg, all the way out the left foot. And from here on out, the breath will come in wherever it went out, and it'll switch at the top. So your inhale will come in through the left foot, in through the left leg, the left ribs, shoulder, left nostril to crown of head, and then exhale out the right side, all the way down, right ribs, leg, out the right foot. And just like on the other side, inhale through the right foot, all the way up the right side, crown of head, exhaling down the left. Inhaling left, all the way up the left side, exhaling right, inhaling right, crown of head, exhaling left, inhaling left, crown of head, exhaling right, inhaling right, crown of head, exhaling left, inhaling left, crown of head, exhaling right, inhaling right, crown of head, exhaling left.
We're going to continue for a few more rounds, and so you can imagine just on your own, inhaling through one side, all the way up to the crown of your head, and then exhaling the opposite side. And inhaling again. And exhaling again. So keep up the visualization, and as best you can, keep up that evenness of breath. We'll do 3 more rounds. And then upon your next exhale, you can just release control of the breath. And just be in place wherever you are. Right, receiving this feeling of balance. And it's possible, and many of us do, spend a lot of our life not quite in balance. Energy or attention can be scattered, sometimes in different directions. And when we're thinking about one thing and doing another thing and, giving our attention somewhere else entirely, that split, that disconnect, right? It's in the body, it's not just in the mind. And so as best we can, we try to bring evenness back to the breath and back to the body. And it doesn't take a lot. Just awareness, consciousness. As we land and we breathe, as we soften and receive. When you're ready, you can begin to wiggle fingers and toes. And rather than just completing practice, I'm going to give you one more shape that you can do to kind of, balance out the body. If you want, you can bring your hands up overhead and make your whole body into the shape of an X. Once you've got that, right ankle can cross over left ankle, and then right hand reaches over to the left. Left hand will grab right wrist, and we'll just stretch the whole length of the right side. This is called banana pose. And that's a great way to passively just open up the whole length of the body. And get some extra breath happening there. Let's do 3 breaths. And then when you're ready, nice and slow, you can find your way to the other side. So left heel on top of a right ankle, and then right hand grabs left wrist, and we get nice and long and open. breathing into the left ribs. Last inhale, and then slowly release. And you can just kind of linger here for a little bit, right? No need to get yourself immediately out of practice. Maybe grab the knees, give them a squeeze. Bringing ourselves back into balance is so important. And it doesn't take a lot. Just a little bit of acknowledgement that each side can be a little different and have different needs, and offer yourself a nice little mix of stretching and just coming into contact with left and right, crossing the body, becoming aware of the breath, and maybe doing a balancing breath with an even count, or a balancing breath from left to right and right to left. Friend, you can stay exactly where you are. Enjoy your balanced nervous system, balanced brain, balanced body, and I will see you again very soon. I hope you have a wonderful